Republicans are starting to worry that Donald Trump and his spiraling is not only going to cost him the general election, but potentially hurt Republicans in congressional races. So one anonymous Senate Republican aide told The Hill, quote, "You can start to feel the trepidation. Like with Arizona, you get a sense in talking to folks that it's not going as well as we hoped. In Nevada, it's not going as well as we hoped." The source said there's a legitimate gripe that Trump is not as aggressive of a campaigner as he could be, referring to the amount of time that Trump is spending on the stump, reaching out to voters in key swing states.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
So here the criticism is more about how, Trump isn't focusing his efforts in areas where he needs to focus his efforts. And the issue isn't just with the amount of campaigning that Trump is doing. It's also with what Trump is saying during the campaigning that he does engage in. So Ron Bonjean, who is a GOP strategist and former Senate GOP leadership aide, stated the following: Trump is trying to get on message. Is he? Okay. Trump is trying to get on message. In the last couple of press conferences, he started to talk about her policies, meaning Kamala Harris's policies, but he just can't help getting the crowd responses by going after her personally. So guys, I want you to separate Trump's core base, right? The MAGA crowd who love him and they appreciate the red meat, versus the swing voters, the more moderate Republicans that he needs to appeal to in order to lock down the Electoral College. And increasingly, it appears that you have Republican operatives who feel that he is actually hurting his own cause and potentially hurting congressional races as well. He can't get away from it. It may get a great reaction from the crowd, meaning the attacks on Kamala Harris, the personal attacks. But it's doing nothing for the independent voters that are looking for the contrast. They know who Donald Trump is. They're trying to figure out who Kamala Harris is.
Yeah. So that's an unusually bright Republican there. Okay. So the reason is he pinpointed the reason why Trump does it. Because it's so counterproductive. Why would you keep doing these personal attacks as you see your poll numbers slipping further and further down? They're not working. Usually Trump is pretty good about A/B testing. And I told you that this is how he started. I wrote about this in Justice is Coming. They actually did a lot of research into AM talk radio back in the day. And they tested pro-immigrant and anti-immigrant messages and realized, anti-immigrant works better. He doesn't care about anything. So since anti-immigrant worked better, he became virulently anti-immigrant. But remember, before then, he used to use undocumented immigrants to work on his towers and his construction projects, right?
He was employing undocumented immigrants as he was engaging in that rhetoric in 2016.
So why is he then doing something that is unpopular? This guy is right. It's because he's a child. He's addicted to the applause. Me want applause. Me like applause. So this is the same reason he bankrupted himself in Atlantic City. I never understood why he opened 3 casinos in the same city. Nobody did. No businessman would ever do that. It's going to cannibalize your own businesses. And that's exactly what happened. And they all went under, right? I mean, it's like a Harvard Business School research study on how to not run a business. He bankrupted casinos, which was previously thought unimaginable, okay? And so I always wondered about it. And when I was doing research for our Loser Donald segments back in 2016, I found out why. An advisor to Donald Trump at the time said he likes to see his name in lights. So he liked driving around Atlantic City having go Trump, Trump, Trump. So that kind of child can't help himself. So he does things that he's supposed to do in terms of talking points, and the crowd doesn't respond much. And then he's like, Kamala's black. And they're like, all right. And he's like, me like applause. She's also a stupid woman. And he's like, me like applause. And he spirals further and further down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I can't emphasize enough. And by the way, this is an issue I see on the left when it comes to certain issues that the left wants to accomplish, like let's say a ceasefire in Gaza, right? you want to be strategic in how you make those demands. And you have to not cave into the very human need for emotional releases. Emotional releases lead you to do dumb things that are not strategic that end up turning people off, and it ends up working against your cause. And that's exactly what's happening here, but he can't help himself. He really can't.
So, by the way, Anna, that's a great example because, look, I think there's some of the things that the protesters do, a very, very small fraction of them, but they do tremendous damage.
Yep.
They are so counterproductive that I can't believe that they're actually on the right side of the issue, right? Because when you go paint Hamas or do spray paint Hamas on a statue in Washington, that's all the press is going to talk about. When you burn an American flag, that's all. You're giving the press exactly what they want. They want to be able to label the whole peace protest terrorists and against America.
Terrorist sympathizers.
And remember, Israel's on the side of America. The Palestinians burn American flags, etc. So you might have gotten let's assume that they're genuine people who are on the side of peace, etc. But even in that case, you got your emotional release, you did your spray painting, you did your burning, and then what did it get you? It set the movement back, not forward.
It's deeply selfish.
It's very selfish. And that's exactly what's happening here for the Republican Party now, as Donald Trump, the spoiled child, is intensely selfish. And just for the short-term high of getting the applause lines from the crowd, he's damaging not only himself, but the chance of the Republicans to win the Senate or the House. Classic selfish Donald Trump.
It is incredible how he's hurt, like he's losing all on his own. You know what I mean? Like he's hurting himself, but he won't change course. In fact, former Republican Senator Judd Gregg, I should say, explained why this is a problem for Republicans who are trying to win Senate seats. I want to give you his quote. He says, down ballot Republicans, I think, are very worried. Instead of running your campaign, you're defending his statements and eccentricities and his marginalization of Harris. It's really bad for a candidate if you can't run your own campaign. You have to spend all your time defending stupid comments, divisive comments, and disruptive comments. But I actually want to talk about that take a little more, Cenk, because do Republicans in the Republican Party who are running for Senate seats have to defend Donald Trump's comments?
Well, they don't have to, but if they don't, Donald Trump will take their head off and the MAGA base will be super pissed.
That is
so either you're going to lower your voter turnout of your base because they get mad at you because you didn't back up Donald Trump's lunacy or idiocy, right? Or you're going to cost yourself independence and moderate votes. And so you're doomed if you do, and damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? And so they're put in a very tough spot in the press then. And by the way, this happens on the Democratic side too. If a leader of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party says something stupid or outrageous, the press will then ask every Democrat and every Republican about those comments. Do you agree or don't you agree? Hey, do you think that Kamala Harris's crowds are all deep fake AIs? And by the way, it's a very legitimate question because your voters need to know whether you're in Missouri, California, wherever you are you a lunatic or are you not a lunatic? That's a very important question if we're going to vote for you. And if you think, no, there's no one at Kamala Harris's campaign stops and her rallies, and it's all AI, you're cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. You've lost your goddamn mind, and no one should vote for you. So every time Trump does one of those things, every Republican gets asked, are you a lunatic?
So speaking of AI, and I want to be clear, I think Trump did this to troll people. I don't think he did it to pull a fast one on people. Trump used an AI-generated image alleging that Taylor Swift endorsed him.
Of course.
And then he's like, I accept your endorsement.
He'll accuse Kamala Harris of doing AI. Why? Because he thinks, I would do that. I lie about my crowd size all the time. And if I could enhance it with AI, of course I would. So he assumes she'll do the same. And then he goes and does the Taylor Swift thing. Yeah, I get it. Trolling maybe, kind of. But at the same time, he would, of course, use AI to fake things. Right?
So I've noticed that the hardcore Trump supporters, the Charlie Kirks of the world, they have really soured on Lindsey Graham. Now, part of it has to do with the fact that Lindsey Graham is a war hawk who would never, sacrifice his life or the lives of his loved ones to, engage in the wars that he advocates for. But nonetheless, he's also been critical of Trump at times, including what you're about to hear. So let's take a look.
President Trump can win this election. His policies are good for America, and if you have a policy debate for president, he wins. Donald Trump, the provocateur, the showman, may not win this election.
So he's essentially saying like Trump needs to tone it down. And if you're a normal person, you don't see that as like a hardcore criticism to like get upset about. But remember, trying to tweak Trump even a little bit gets under his skin and under the skin of his hardcore supporters. So, but I think that Lindsey Graham is not right on the policies. You know, he's saying that Trump policies would be better for the country. That's not what I'm agreeing with him on. But I do think that Trump has a better chance of winning the election if he stops doing the ridiculous personal attacks against Kamala Harris. And if he stops like spiraling, he's like totally spiraling right now.
Yeah, 100%. So Lindsey Graham's a good bellwether for how Trump is doing, because once Trump starts slipping in the polls as he is today, Lindsey Graham will come out and criticize him and go, hey, this is not helping. Donald Trump needs to be more disciplined, etc. When Trump is up in the polls, Lindsey Graham will go on TV and go, I love Donald Trump. And where's his boots? Where's his boots? I want to lick his boots. So if he's not licking Donald Trump's boots, that means Donald Trump is losing. So, and by the way, to be fair to Lindsey Graham, he was quite honest about it. You know, one time he talked about like, well, I just want to influence the president, so I'm going to say nice things when he's, you know, up and doing and has power, etc. And so, and that's why you'll see Lindsey Graham attach himself like a leech onto any popular politician. You remember back in the day, it was John McCain.
Yep.
John McCain was the war hero, etc. And Lindsey Graham wants to start endless wars. So attached himself to John McCain and he's,
then threw him under the bus.
And then threw him under the bus at one point. The same thing with Donald Trump, same with anyone, because that's what leeches do. So look, Charlie Kirk and us both agree on policy in terms of why we hate Lindsey Graham, which is he's a warmonger, etc. We also massively disagree on what causes that, right? So that was kind of a revealing moment when he said he doesn't have kids, so he doesn't have a stake in this country. That's why he likes war, right?
No,
that's not why he likes war. Yeah, he likes the donor money. That's why he likes war, right? Yeah. And so it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that he might or might not be gay. So I know you're not supposed to say that out loud.
Oh my God, I thought you meant Charlie Kirk. I'm like, I don't think Charlie Kirk.
No, Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Charlie Kirk was referring to. He didn't say it, to be fair, he didn't say it, okay? But I'm tired of everyone doing like the winking and the nodding around Lindsey Graham. Yes, everyone in Washington thinks he's gay. That doesn't mean he is, but that's what everybody thinks. And so, but that has nothing to do with any of this.
Right.
Right, he just wants the donor money.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below, because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.